So hopefully we factor this into x minus 1 times 3x plus 1. So now, where is this going to have horizontal tangent lines? When you solve this, you end up with x is equal to 1, negative 1/3. Make sure you answer the question. It wants to know at what points. Points have an x and a y value. You know the x values. So I know at x equals 1, I have a horizontal tangent line. I know when x is negative 1/3, I have a horizontal tangent line. So what you need to do is find the y values. So you have to take these x values, and again, you're always referring back to the original curve. We're finding points on f of x. So you need to take 1 and negative 1/3 and plug it in. So when I plug 1 in, I end up with 1/3 minus 1 squared minus 1 plus 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, negative 1 plus 1 is 0. So I have a horizontal tangent at 1, 0. I would take negative 1/3 to the third power, minus negative 1/3 squared, minus negative 1/3 plus 1. And then I need to evaluate and simplify that. So when I take negative 1/3, that's negative 1 over 27, minus 1/9, plus 1/3 plus 1, and that's going to give me 32 over 27. You can find the derivative of other derivatives. So we found the first derivative when we were finding slope of tangent line. So again, the first derivative is just your f prime. Second derivative, you'll see the notation with the double apostrophe. So this is your second derivative. You could find the derivative of the second derivative. We call that the third derivative. Again, you can see the notation. You can see when we're talking about the third derivative. And the nth derivative, you can go higher and higher. So for example, you're given a function. We want to find s double prime of t. So here we want to find the second derivative. You can't find the second derivative without finding the first derivative. So s prime of t first. You have to go first derivative, then the second derivative. Differentiate 5t to the third. That's going to give you 15t squared. Take the derivative of 4t squared. Again, 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract 1 from 2, which is a 1. Derivative of 6t. 6 times t to the 0 is just 6. Derivative of 3 is 0. So now to find my second derivative, I'm just going to take the derivative of the first derivative. So the derivative of 15t squared, 2 times 15 is 30t, plus 8t, the derivative of 8t is just 8 times t to the 0, which is just 8, and derivative of 6 is 0. So there is your second derivative. Here's another notation you may see talking about derivatives. Here we need to find the third derivative of 1 over x. And what this means is we're going to evaluate this at x equals 1. Again, to find the third derivative, you can't find the third derivative without finding the second derivative, without finding the first derivative. So again, to find my first derivative, first thing you need to do is take 1 over x and write it as a fractional exponent. So again, 1 over x is equivalent to x to the negative first. So when I want to find the derivative of x to the negative first, using your power rule, that would be negative 1, x, subtract 1 from this power, which is a negative 2. So there's my first derivative. Second derivative, I'm going to take the derivative of negative x to the negative second. Using your power rule, negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2. X, subtract 1 from negative 2, which is minus 3. Find the third derivative. Using your power rule, negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6. X, subtract 1, which would be to the negative 4th, or negative 6 over x to the 4th. There's your third derivative. Go ahead and practice these questions on your own on page 15.